What is the most disgusting secret you're hiding right now? In primary school elementary, me and my friends saw water dripping from the rooftop on the playground. Without thinking, we'd let it drop into our mouths and drink it. Giggling and excited, we'd found our own water source. A teacher caught us and we had to be checked out because it turned out the water was coming from a pipe or something that rats had ran through. We had a candy corn counting contest in like 4th or 5th grade where you guess how many are in the big jar. When no one was looking, I carefully took the tape off the top thinking I was going to count them all or something, and saw that they had written the total on the inside of the top, so being a genius, I took out about 30 of them, ate the evidence, and put my guess in for the number -35 minus so it wouldn't be suspicious if I got it on the nose, not realizing they weren't going to recount them. The winner guessed it within 20 of the number on the bottom of the lid. So basically, I cheated, sabotaged, and still lost, and I kept all that stupidity to myself for all these years. One time, when I was like 9 or 10, I had to go to the bathroom really badly while my family and I were at a hotel pool. I didn't make it in time, so I sat on the pavement and just shit on the pavement in my swimsuit. When no one was around, I snuck to the bathroom and tried to clean it up the best I could. Never told anyone about that, lol. As a small child, I ate an old piece of gum from under a bus seat. I'd really like to exchange my mouth for a new one. When my sister was younger, probably around 2-4 age range, whenever she did something I asked her to do, I gave her a dog bone as a reward. She never listened when we were younger, but as soon as I started giving her dog bones, she was a different person. It was great. This was almost 20 years ago now, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for my meddling mom asking why her breath smelled like dog food randomly. When I was 10, I used to dance nude in the balcony after a bath, just to piss off my mom. When I was younger, I would steal coins from my parents, and when I had enough, I would bring them to my dad and had them changed to paper bills, and he would be so proud of me for saving coins that he would buy me ice cream or sweet bread. When I was about 5, I used to prefer cat food to normal food. Now I can't stand the taste. One time I spit my gum into a donation box for kids with autism thinking it was a trash can. A majority of the time, the voice in my head first thoughts are just really unnecessarily mean towards myself, but especially others, even those I care about. Extremely nitpicky, selfish, rude, etc. thoughts. I don't understand why. Sometimes it leaks out into the real world on its really bad days, and I'm just an ass. It makes me feel pretty bad about who I am as a person sometimes, because I really just want to be a lovely person and think the best about others, and I don't feel like a good one very often because of these thoughts. I guess maybe OP meant nasty, disgusting, but it feels disgusting to me some days. As a student with a shitty waitering job paying me almost nothing, I used to eat the food my customers didn't want after I took their plates to the kitchen. One morning I couldn't be bothered making my breakfast and a coffee, so I added instant coffee to my cereal, mixed it into the milk, and ate coffee cereal. My younger brother used to eat the dog food because he thought it would make him better friends with the dog. We began to leave a bowl out for him next to the dog bowl. That time sat in my office at work, surrounded by a team of socially distanced staff, and I've just sharted. Update managed to crack a window and spin conference calls out long enough for everyone to go home. It's time, go home and shower, then burn this suit. Thanks for the concern. It's been a day. When I was in middle school, I was being bullied physically and mentally, quite bad. My grades dropped and my mom got upset, so there was this period of fighting before we got into therapy together. The worst thing I've ever said to my mother was, I wish I had been a miscarriage like my older brother. Mom and I are very close now, and I'm back in therapy for different issues. I made up a person when I was in high school I wanted to sound more popular, so I made up a guy friend. He had an incredibly interesting backstory. This went on for years. Well into college, I had the same friends, so I couldn't just end the charade. The funny thing is all of these people, my family, my best friend, even my husband, believe that they met this man. I never introduced them to anyone, but over the years, they all have different memories of seeing him. Finally, I just sort of phased him out, saying that we grew apart and lost touch. And yet, people will randomly ask me for updates on him. I just give vague answers and watch my husband smirk from across the room. My husband is the only person who knows the truth. I'm so ashamed that I will never admit it. That lie was such a dumb thing that snowballed. When I was 8, my 19-year-old cousin tried to make out with me. I remember him rubbing my leg, kissing me in the kitchen whilst my mum was in the living room. I didn't understand what was really happening at the time, but I knew I didn't like it. I kept nervous giggling and pushing him away. After a couple of minutes he looked disappointed and walked away. I don't remember if he ever tried anything else. He was killed in an accident 3 years later. I chose never to tell anybody as I didn't want to add to my aunt's grief. When my sister and I were little, she would lick her cat because she thought she was helping to clean him. During lockdown, my sister had a meltdown because she thought I had stolen a pair of nail clippers shaped like a foot that she owned. I told her truthfully that I also had a pair and that she had stolen mine. They actually were hers. I found mine an hour later. Rather than tell her, I gave back hers and said, if they mean so much to you, you can have them. I then hid mine in her bag. When she went back home after lockdown, she got there and found the 2 nail clippers and now believes that she was wrong and that the nail clippers she had a meltdown over were actually mine. I used to lie, like a lot. I used to make up stories to tell people, just for the sake of it. I don't do it anymore, although this leads me to telling the same stories over and over. My one friend has no idea that I've known that he doesn't have kids for months. Also that I know he's been saying this and lying to everyone for attention. He tells a very convincing story. He goes into vague details, has a photo of the girl, says that she's been showing him fake paperwork as proof for the children. If what he says is true, would be literally extortion. Everything. Little does he know that I've been watching closely and also researching to find this woman. I know she isn't real and that he's lying and been lying this whole time for almost a year. Nothing he says makes sense and it just keeps escalating, which also doesn't make sense. I literally couldn't help myself but investigate. If everyone finds out that he's been lying this whole time, it will spread like wildfire. He doesn't have many friends and the friends he did have stopped talking to him because of his compulsive lying. In biology class we were dissecting a pig's eyeball and my hand slipped and the eyeball fell on the floor, and me being extremely lazy I kicked it under a cabinet and it lay there for 2 years until someone finally found it. Uncle confided in me that he stopped taking the medications that are keeping him alive because he can't handle the weight of his life. Currently trying to be there for him as much as I can, but haven't told anyone because I feel like it's his choice. And I'd likely want the same in his situation. He's just worn out and feels like he's done his time and has already done what he can for the people around him. I secretly broke a 2500 euros printer. That is rare and precious. I just fixed it just enough that the second person using it got blamed for this and almost expelled from school. I'm in a lot of debt and it's potentially going to ruin my relationship. That there is someone on my Facebook who is lying about her dad passing of cancer whilst her eldest daughter 8 years old is fighting a brain tumor. It is all lies. Her dad is alive and well. Her daughter is completely healthy. One of the pictures she used as proof is her daughter lying on a hospital bed. From what I know, she was just in for observation after a small fall. She has 2 Facebook profiles. One for all her family and friends of the family, and the second one that I'm friends with is for old school friends, general acquaintances and anyone she dates, etc. A buddy of mine had a wife that used to be a stripper. She ended up leaving him for one of her patrons. Before she left him, she was impregnated by him, my buddy. She ended up marrying the guy she left him for, and the newish dad is basically raising his kid. I'm still friends with both of them on Facebook, since I was cool with both of them, and her son definitely looks like him. This was maybe 7-8 years ago. I just shut the duck up about the whole situation. That I hit some kid in the back of a trampoline park with a chain I grabbed off of a fence because he kept poking me. I dropped a bun in the self-service area of a convenience store. I didn't pay for it. I just kicked it under the shelf and left. I dropped a human brain once in prep class and put it back like nothing happened, and everyone was wondering what kind of head trauma that person died of. As a teenager, I was abroad with my class. I shared a room with 2 other girls. One morning I went to the toilet and take a dump. I was shocked as I saw that the toilet flushing was not strong enough to wash it away. I panicked. So I grabbed it with toilet paper, wrapped it around, and threw it as far as I could out of the window. I once found a chocolate bar in a trash can when I was waiting at the bus stop. I ate it. I loved ketchup so much as a kid that I used to have it with cereal sometimes. I occasionally went to a convenience store when I was a kid to buy some stuff that my parents ordered me to get for home. They almost never gave me allowance at the time, so there was that brand of Jello candy which was in a wrapper. I'd open it a little and take from the candy every time I visit that store. One time, I got caught and a worker there accused me of stealing, and when he searched my pockets, he found nothing, although I was storing some in the same pockets that he had searched. It was a close call. My younger sister was with me at the time. I felt disgusted from myself back at the time, and since then, I never stole anything under any circumstances. I pulled off an all-nighter playing Call of Duty and went to college the next day. Needless to say, I was exhausted and drowsy. While riding back from college, I fell asleep on my moped and crashed into a bush. Luckily, I didn't hit another vehicle or get hurt. I didn't tell anyone this because I was too embarrassed. When I was 15, my dad sat me down and told me the true story of why my parents divorced when I was a kid. My brother and I had lived with my mom, so we only heard her story. Dad was an awful alcoholic and she decided to leave. The true story was that, yes, my dad was an alcoholic and he and my mom weren't compatible in any way. He threw himself into working, and my mom began an affair with my uncle's neighbor. My dad caught them and filed for divorce and then got sober. 12 years later, only my dad and I know the true story. We both knew that my brother wouldn't be able to handle knowing the full story because he has some deep-rooted emotional issues. My mom doesn't know that I know either. It took a few years and therapy, but I forgave her. I logged in my BF's Telegram ACC from my device and found he was dating me and other girls at the same time. Still reading his chats. Gotta log out and leave him, but I can't. A girl from my school needed glasses after she got a snowball in her eye. The snowball came flying from the other side of the building, across the roof, and hit her in the eye. This is 15 years ago. No one knows who threw that snowball. The shame. This isn't a story about a disgusting person, but it involves a disgusting smell. In college, a friend of mine wasn't prepared for an exam. Instead of studying, cramming, or risking failure, he bought a bulk package of stink bombs that smelled incredibly foul, mostly like sulfur or rotten eggs. In the hour leading up to the exam, he took said stink bombs and dropped 2 in every bathroom, 1 in each elevator, the stairwells in the building, trash cans in the hallways, anywhere he could think to stash these things. The university closed down the building for days because they thought there was a serious gas leak, and he got an extra week to prepare for his exam. I'm pretty sure he still failed. The amount of poop I have to deal with right now. I've talked about it on Reddit, but I'm hiding it from family. My son is in the middle of months of potty training and has realized that having poop in his diaper makes him uncomfortable. He's super independent. So instead of alerting us he just takes it out. We've been working on it. And then we think we are past it. And then we go to get him from a nap. And there's poop everywhere. I can't wait until he's fully potty trained. I tried to smoke a cigarette with my ass. A friend helped me put it there. It didn't work. Last week I said I was going out for a drive to clear my head, but I actually just bought a cheesecake and ate the whole thing in the car. My wife went out drinking with co-workers and got shit-faced. I had to struggle to get her inside. Blackout drunk, crying, puking. It was a nightmare, and not the first time doing this. After putting her to bed, I shit on the driveway next to her car door and told her she did it while drunk and told her the neighbor saw her do it. She found it going to work the next day. She has not went out drinking since, and this was 4 years ago. If she does drink, she's one and done. I accidentally stole a packet of Welch's Gummers once. It was at this walk thingy at my brother's elementary school. I was 11 or so, and I thought they were just handing them out to everyone who attended the walk. My vegan cousin just celebrated her 5th year of veganism for moral reasons. 2 Christmases ago I was in charge of putting together vegan posole for her, and I put chicken bouillon in it on accident, and I'm gonna carry that secret with me forever. That McDonald's medium fries are the same as large. I was once. This is awful. I'm so sorry. I still feel so bad. I was once delivering pizza and I couldn't find the address. So it took me a while to deliver. Upon reaching up the apartment complex I dropped the damn pizza. Didn't say a word and handed it to her. She left a nice tip. I'm so sorry. Since I work an early morning shift at a preschool, I enjoy the chance to fart as much as possible while only in the presence of oblivious 3-year-olds. Then I can continue the rest of my day after work free of gas. At the end of last year my roommates and I were touring houses to rent, and I had the worst shit attack I've had in a decade. Shivering. Starting to sweat trying to hold it in. The owner is showing us around, and I pretended to get a phone call. Snuck outside into the dark alley and just blew ass all over the grounding corner. Had no way to wipe or clean up, so I just went back in the house. Haven't told any of them, but my GF does know that I shit my pants like a month ago. I get shit attacks a lot. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.